For FIFA 13, we're going to be going with Glen as our manager. Now, if you ever seen the movie Goal, you know who that is. For me, it's kind of, I don't know, nostalgic to play this game. I used to play FIFA growing up and Pro Evolution Soccer, but FIFA 13 is the first game I kind of got locked in on, where you can obviously have like a my player scenario. So we're going to go revisit that time, and we're choosing the New York Red Bulls. And the reason why is because obviously I grew up in the New York area. So, I mean, it's kind of like, of course, I'm going to choose the hometown team. First thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to get rid of some of these older players. And that's because we need money. Like, we didn't start with a lot, which is 4.6 million. So, first thing, we're going to get Rafael Marquez up out of here. And that's the good thing about this Red Bull team is they do have a lot of older guys here, Cahill, that in the MLS, you see it now with Messi in Miami, the two. They come to the MLS when they get to their 30s. We got Thierry Henry, one of the better players to basically ever play the game in all reality. But they all come to America when they get to their 30s, and some of these clubs give them ownership and give them ridiculous contracts to where they're just, I don't know, milking the game after they did all they needed to back in Europe. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our youth academy. So obviously, if you watch any of the other YouTubers that do these things, we're going with Ricardo Sanchez first. One of the best ways to rebuild any club is to make sure you get some young guys in there. So we got Pablo Mascaro. And you know what's funny? I'll be honest, is I actually created this before I even looked at any other YouTubers. I actually just went through and I was like, all right, bro, this is what I'm going to do. I need money. I got to get rid of some of these older guys. And playing in the MLS, our season starts here early, February, March. So we're going to have to list these guys, start scouting way before we're able to actually sell them in the transfer window. And in terms of scouting, so the way I went about it is, at first, I'm going to go to Spain with Ricardo Sanchez. And the reason why is because I want every player that I get going forward to either had the same position as the FIFA 14, FIFA 15, FIFA 16 cover star. And also I want them to be from a country that was successful in the World Cup leading up. So we're going to be using the 2010 World Cup finalist for the first two countries. So now, obviously, we're going to go to the Netherlands, because in the 2010 World Cup, it was Spain versus the Netherlands, if that makes any sense. And then in terms of player type, we want attackers. We want guys that are going to be forwards, if possible. So now, obviously, we're setting up everything and getting them to where they need to be. And they've already been out there for 3 months. I don't know why I just paused like that. I was like, man, am I doing the same thing twice? But yeah, so they've already been out there for 3 months. And one of the things I want to do also is I don't want to always show you every single person we sign. That's going to take forever. So now we're getting more closer into the 2014 World Cup. So you saw Germany first, and then now we're going to get to Argentina. So that's just one little thing to pay attention to as we go through this game. Obviously, it's a pilot game where a lot of what I'm doing is setting up for future FIFA games that I'm going to play. So, yeah, we're already in May. I don't know why I paused like that, bro. I'm like, dang, are we doing the same thing twice? So here we've been talking to Spurs, trying to get a deal done for Thierry Henry, and they're willing to give us 3.1 million, but I'm in the mood to fleece right now. So if you want him at 34 years old, we want 4. And I'm not going to do this with every single player. As you can see, I don't have that much money in my budget. Spent a lot of money on the 2 scouts, and obviously spent money sending them to set up the scouting areas. Spend money when you sign these recruits, or what would you call them? But we have another offer here from Marquez where they're willing to give us 900,000. He's worth $1 million. So same thing again. I'm gonna try to stretch it and get as much as possible. Usually I want to get like 200,000 more than I'm supposed to. And what do I want to call them? They're not recruits. Recruits is for like college football and college basketball. Prospects. I don't know. Well, they're a part of the youth academy, so that's the first thing they do when you sign them. And another thing, I'm not going to show you that they actually got sold. I'm just going to show you me signing and saying, okay, this is the number I want. And obviously they're going to get gone. We're not going to keep them. And so another thing that's going to happen here too is, I want to continue to simulate forwards. So like if we have a game in between, Cahill, the 2 did good. We won 3-0 against Chicago. And we'll show that. You see here, they actually decided to accept our offer. So that's our first guy that we're sending off to the EPL, which is cool. And we're here in July, so like I said, it's finally transfer network time. And it's finally open for us to get rid of some of these guys. And the next thing I want to do is once these recruits, prospects, once these youth players, there we go. Once they turn 17, I want to sign them. You see here, I'm kind of picking the guys I want to sign because Javi Chavez, he's going to be our first guy from Spain. We got Juan Insua, he's from Spain. He might not be the guy, but he's a good player. And then we got Larbi Bezo. He's going to be our guy from, is he from Netherlands or am I tripping? And then you see here we got a couple other guys. But what I really want to do is, again, once they hit 17, that's when I want to sign them, bring them up to the big leagues. And then, we could get rid of this guy, Gaudet. But I want it to be worthwhile. I don't want to just be, selling players just to sell them. And this is one of those points, like I said, too, where just because it's kind of in the middle, in between us signing those young guys that we're going to show it. Everything's not necessarily useful, if that makes sense. So one of the things I did going through, you see Latute gets an offer, and we could send him to Blackburn. Shoot, that's 3 guys so far, back-to-back in our first year. We're sending to the EPL, which is cool in a sense, being that Glen is from England, and it makes sense that he has connections, if you saw the show, to, the movie, couple movies actually, Goal, the series. He had connections to Sunderland. He found Santiago Munoz, so it's kind of cool. Did I say Sunderland? I meant Newcastle, my bad. So here we're simulating again. These are just random games in between. And like I said, it's cool him being from England, being able to send some of these guys back to his home country. And I think that's something that's going to help our Red Bull franchise be, I want to say, desirable for young guys to want to go to, is knowing that, like, for the most part, right, if you go to the MLS, you're probably stuck there. But for us, being that we could be a launch pad to England, I think that's something that is enticing. So you see here, I was going to get to this earlier. The way how I'm signing players is, at first this year, starting out, bro, if they're at least an 80 overall in potential, I'm going to sign them. Just because I want to get some young guys in. I don't really have the best scouts in the world, because you could get up to, I think, a 5 or 6 star scout. I think it's 5. But in terms of experience, and then in terms of judgment. So right now I don't have the greatest scouts, so I'm going to just go for, in the first year, anybody over 80 overall potential. So now here, what you're going to see is me kind of setting up our, I want to say, tactics, how our formations are and who's in it. So You see here, we got a lot of the original guys still playing. They're not that great. They're all basically over 60, 65-ish for the most part. And so what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that the roster is set in a sense that it's and you know it's weird. So I hadn't played this game in so long, and I never, even when I played FIFA 13, I never actually played the manager mode. I was always playing the, like I said, career my player kind of mode. So you see here, I'm trying to make a lineup that is acceptable, because having Sam out there being injured, I don't think that's acceptable. But again, I played this game for a little bit. Excuse me. I ended up playing for, I don't know, shoot, a couple weeks to get it done the way I wanted to. And I started to realize some of the tricks of the trade. Like right here, we don't have that many reserves. And that's also going to be a problem at some point if I don't figure it out. To be honest, I'm just trying to get some young guys in, get them to play. And there's a lot I feel like I didn't know when I first started it. So that's why you see me doing certain things that don't make sense. And then I'm just trying to get Juan in there, trying to get all the young guys at least to be a sub. And then formation-wise, so as I started out, this might be a good formation with the two strikers that I could put forward, but I decided I wanted to go with the diamond formation early on just because I like the way that you got the 6 guys attacking. And you got like that nice little 5-guy rotation right around the goal to be some sort of help defensively. But like I said, you see right here, I just did all that and I didn't make a legit lineup. So the game had to delegate and do it for me. That's what I'm saying. Like when I played it at first, I didn't really do stuff the right way. But now we're playing against Houston, and I'm not sure. I believe this is the U.S. Open Cup. I didn't know, like I said, if at first I was just playing, trying to make the team better, and that way we could get to being, on top of the table and win the MLS, but it seems to be that this is the actual U.S. Open Cup, and that's another thing. So I'm going to split the seasons into, all right, this is the U.S. Open Cup, all right, this is the MLS Cup, and in some years, obviously, this is the World Cup. So I'm going to split it that way. So for this episode, we're going to focus on the U.S. Open Cup. And so we've been a solid team. I couldn't tell you our exact record. It actually doesn't show it. But, I mean, I don't see us losing. Like I said, it's the MLS, and most of our starters are over 65. In the MLS, like you saw, I think Henry was the best player. He was with like a 77 at 34 years old, and like that's the truth. That's not gonna happen in La Liga or the EPL. Like that's definitely not gonna happen where your best player is a 77. But here in MLS, it don't take much. And we didn't actually sell a lot of guys. We only sold like 3 main guys so far, which was Henry, Marquez. So 2. I could have sworn there was a third person out of Blackburn, if I wasn't mistaken. I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure we sold someone to Blackburn. But either way, right, we got to get the business right here. We got Lade, Cooper, Chavez, and that's the other thing. So since Javi Chavez is going to be our first prodigy, first player to kind of make it out of Red Bull's youth academy, I'm going to try to play and get him goals. I'm just be honest. Like, obviously, if other guys could get open, like right here, Tano, he gets a goal, I'm going to score. I'm not trying to lose. But I did try to cater the games to these players, kind of like what I did with College Hoops 2K8 and kind of like what I did with NCAA Basketball 10, where if I know they're the next guy up and they have something to do, you see here, Javi Chavez scores his first goal. And obviously, it's not his first goal because he's been with the club since, what was it, mid-July when I signed him. But that's his first goal with me, obviously, as a user. It's pretty easy the way I play the game, I'll be honest. I usually just, I don't know how I explain it. I kind of just complete passes. Like, I don't do stupid stuff. I don't make too many runs. I literally just complete passes. Complete. I can't even speak. Complete passes and be right in front of the goalie. And then when I decide to make a turn and make a run, I'm right in front of the goalie. So I just have to have a good touch. So you probably won't ever see how I actually play. I didn't record those games. This game I actually did, but I obviously broke it down because of time restraints or constraints. Or how they used to say it back on ESPN. Due to time restrictions or constraints, we're back to, what was it? Regularly scheduled program. I don't remember, but y'all know what I mean, man. We don't got time to be sitting here and like showing whole games. I'm gonna just show y'all the goals. Like at first too, I was even showing like the halftime and the highlights, and I was like, nah, bro, these games are too long. And if we're gonna show most of each tournament, which is in America, they got a lot of aggregate scores, so you got to play the first leg, second leg games, as opposed to Europe where there's a lot of, yeah, bro, you got one match. You lose that match, you out the tournament. So with that being said, we don't got time to show you the whole game. We're just going to show you the goals right there that we made. And obviously, at first, I kind of played on like an easier level, and it still was hard because look, it was only 2-1 that first game, and this was obviously the first FIFA 13 game I had played since 2012. So kind of had to get back used to playing the game. And one thing I want y'all to pay attention to is, I guess, as I get better, the scores are going to be way different. So Chavez was the man of the match. Obviously, like I said, I was trying to play through him. And basically, that's how we starting it off. I mean, U.S. Open Cup. And so we win 2-1. But like I said, I'm pretty sure we have another game against Houston, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see here on the screen. It'll come up in a little bit. I really don't remember how the format went. Like I said, man, I'm just trying to play a game that I have an affinity for. And I was actually thinking these episodes would only be like 10 minutes long, because when I went through it, I was like, okay, cool, we'll just show the highlights, boom, we'll just simulate a little bit. And then I started breaking it down. I was like, oh, shit. This is not as simple as I thought. So we're here, and we got to send out the scouts again back to work. So we've been to a couple countries already, and that's the big thing for me is I want to get all the young dudes here and get them signed as early as possible. So now what we're going to do is we're going back to the Netherlands, and that's what I think is the best thing is, again, if I get these young dudes here, I'll have a young group of players always ready, if that makes sense, in the youth academy, getting better. And then we're going to go to, I believe, Brazil. So basically, it's going to be the final 4 teams of the 2014 World Cup that we're focusing on right here. So yeah, we're going to Brazil. Going to get us an attacker. And like I said, bro, if we keep doing this with our 2 scouts and just keep them rotating every 3 months, we're going to be fine in terms of finding our star players for like FIFA 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, those kinds of things. So again, now here to be able to simulate forward, I got to simulate this match. I can't just skip through and just pop up in another dimension. So yeah, Houston hasn't even been playing well. They lost 3 of their last games that they played, actually, all 3 of them. And then we're beating them with guys like Cooper and Lempier, who we're eventually going to sell. Because if I'm going to get all these young attackers in, midfielders in, forwards in, we're not going to have room for these older guys. So my thing is, if we could use these older guys to be like the bridge players until, Because remember, these dudes I'm talking about, I'm only going to sign them when they turn 17. They're still young. But that just shows you, I believe Messi and Ronaldo all got their first senior team action when they were 17. But that just shows you with these guys that, shoot, if you could come in at 17 and dominate the MLS, damn, I can't speak. It's not as competitive as La Liga, obviously. So now we got LA Galaxy in the semifinals, and I'm not sure how that happened. I'm pretty sure I should have had another game. Should have been 2 games, but I mean, I'm not complaining. Right now, the Galaxy, they're obviously the best team in the MLS. They got Landon Donovan. And I actually did it to a weird way where they actually have Gavin Harris, who was one of the stars of the Goal movie. So they got a couple dudes on this team. They got another dude. I really didn't pay attention to the roster. It'll come up here. There go Gavin Harris right there, number 29. But they actually have a lot of dudes on these Galaxy teams because back during this period in time, they actually, what did they win? Like 3 or 4 straight MLS, U.S. Open Cups, MLS. What the heck is the name of the thing? I can't think right now. I'm over here blanking, but they basically dominated. What the heck's a dominate, bro? They dominated the MLS. So for me, I'm going to keep it realistic as possible. I'm going to try to win, but I mean, shoot, if they got the better team, they got the better team. And I also, like with every other game I've ever played, I don't try to cheat. I don't try to force things. Like if we win, we win. So, kind of waiting for them to show the roster because I know they got some dudes. We got Dax McCarthy, young Dax McCarthy. And waiting. Because there's a name, bro. I'm like, yeah, that dude. Yeah, I'm just waiting to see. And I'm going to always show the intros to the games just because you could see the guys better. You could see what's going on a little bit better, who's where. So, nah, they got some. There you go. Buttle's one of the guys that was good, obviously, when I was growing up. But I could have swore they had another name that was like a Hispanic name, Spanish player too, but I don't know. I guess maybe that's the other thing too is like you have this understanding of the era, and maybe I'm like ahead in my mind where there was like another dude and he's not actually there yet or something, but I could have swore Galaxy always had like a bunch of guys like, I don't know, unless it was me watching the game the other day and there was a player out there. But here we are. Cooper gets the first goal for us, and that's what I was saying is we're going to use these older players. And one of my goals, no pun intended, but one of my goals with this whole series, Lempier scores, is once these guys hit like 30, we want to get them out the way. And other than that, if they're younger and we try to move them, it's because we want to get them to a bigger club where they could kind of excel and be on a bigger stage. Like I said, let it be a springboard situation. So Tano scores for us as well. And, you know, like I said, bro, if we could beat LA Galaxy, I'm going to try to beat them, bro. I'm not going to sit here and roll over because they're the most dominant team during the 2010s in the MLS. I'm not going to sit here and throw the game. Like right here, like I said, I play with pace, and that was a good shot, like a really good shot. So we're up 3-1. Actually 3-2 here at the end of the game. And I'm not going to roll over, bro. But what is the point of that? Like, they beat us, they beat us. If not, shit. So, I'm kind of happy in the sense of that's what they have. Bless me, excuse me. David Beckham, bro. That's the name. That is the name. I guess he didn't start. I don't know for what reason he didn't start. That's the name that I was like, bro, they got a guy that is. And then Robbie Keane. Like, come on, bro. They got guys on this team, bro. That's who it was. Like I said, David Beckham was like one of the first big name European stars to come over and be like, all right, bro, I'm gonna come over there, get some ownership, and I'm gonna be the starter team, and that's who it is. David freaking Beckham, bro. I'm over here talking about how I think it's a Spanish name, a Spanish player. Well, they got David Villa now or something like that. They got one of those dudes now on the team present day, but no, bro. David freaking Beckham. And I don't know why he was on the bench. I mean, I know I made Gavin Harris kind of good, but I also made him kind of old. If I'm not mistaken, he is either 35 right now. So it's not like, he's 20 something and then they got to get Beckham out the way. But yeah, we're just showing some of the goals here. And I mean, obviously you saw the goals. I made it a priority to make sure you saw ours, but I'm trying to show you theirs as well and show you like how the score got to be how it was. And then also, this is also what happens when it's my first couple of games. I kind of just let this run for way too goddamn long. But yeah, like I said, I'm trying to show you what happened where they got those 2 points. And again, first couple games, first year doing something, first episode doing something, you kind of slack a little bit. And so I don't know who was the man of the match. Obviously, I kind of move a little bit too fast to be able to tell you, but it is what it is. We end up winning. And so I believe that in the U.S. Open Cup might be a knockout kind of setup where you only play the one match and you're out of there. It might be the MLS Cup. That's the aggregate. You got to play 2 games, first leg, second leg. So yeah, I stand corrected. Every single tournament is not, first game, second game, and who has the better score. But either way, we're first in our division. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and have a team that's the worst, and magically when I play, we're this powerhouse team. So they've been doing their thing all season. Now we're playing against Real Salt Lake in the final. And I'm so off right now. So this is the US Open Cup, and then the other one is the MLS Cup. But then the MLS Cup should be tied into the regular season. I don't know. It's all so confusing. Like, it's one of those things where you know soccer, or at least you know what's going on with it, but you don't. So it is what it is. And it's kind of weird how these tournaments work as well. As you don't have to be the top team in the league to be in the US Open Cup. You just have to win whichever games that come up for you. I think the MLS Cup is a little bit different at the end of the season, where they only have the top teams in it, and that's why, okay, now it's the top teams. You got to win 2 games. Like, you got to win. And to me, I actually like that better than an actual series, because shoot, bro, some of these series where you got to win like 2 out of 3, to me, with baseball, or like basketball, you got to win best of 7. I mean, I guess, because if in those sports, not really baseball and basketball, I guess, if you score 140 and you try to go aggregate on somebody and then the next game is 90-90, well, shoot, it's already over. You already lost. But I don't know. I think I like this format, and that's the cool thing about playing these different games of, well, shoot, you beat me first game 2-0, and then I came back next game, and now I got to beat you 3-0. I have to. So I kind of like that idea. And when you look at, damn, he old looking. He looked like one of the original conquistadors. The hell? Either way, man, it's weird when I look at some of these rosters, because I know they can't keep up with us. Because Conor Lade was a good player, and Dax McCarthy was a good player. And then you got Javi Chavez, who's basically the future for Spain, is how I'm kind of looking at how he's supposed to be. One thing about him, though, that's kind of funny, I don't know if y'all realize, this dude had braids. Like, what the hell? I've never seen a Spanish player with braids. But that's the new generation. I mean, he's playing in New York, gets the first goal here, and I mean, he's living up to the name, in my opinion. He's going to be the first one off the porch for those of you that are from America and kind of understand what that means. Like, he's the one. Look at that. Bro, that's a nice damn. Yeah, bro. That was nice. I don't even know how he made that falling away. I don't know. That was a nice damn goal, bro. But yeah, look at him right there. The man that boy looked mixed with them damn braids. But as you see here, like I said, I'm more of a realist, so I'm not going to be too upset if we're not able to get the job done. You see here, we had chances. That man freaking dove and threw his whole... What was that, bro? I was about to say he threw his whole soul at the ball and stopped us. But what the hell was that? That was a bad miss. And then they got this shot right here where it's a little bit... Like I said, I'm going to play through the best player, try to score something, and that was a freaking goal, bro. That was a freaking chance. That was a kick right there. That was a nice one. But as you see, defensively, how the hell did they get behind us like that? 3-on-1. And then here, like, come on, bro, clear the ball. What are we doing? Now here, again, we got to freaking clear the ball. Defensively, I don't understand how they're so far behind us with no one near a man. But it is what it is. Then we have, like I said, we have our chances. And they kind of sold out. Like right there, that was a straight up miss. I don't know why he fell to the ground like that. That's a couple shots on goal by Javi Chavez that was bad, bro. In all reality. But again, he's 17 years old. He's a young dude. You can't expect him to really put the world on his shoulders. And you know what I mean? Like, he is a young dude. So I'm not disappointed or anything. I'm just saying we didn't get it done. And that's one of the things I hope that I could do at some point where some of these guys like Juan and Sua and other guys that I find that are not going to be the stars for FIFA 14, 15, 16, so forth and so on, if I could build commodity with them and let them be here for a couple years, because that's the next thing is we're getting these young international stars, in my opinion, that if all goes right, because again, Javi's the man in the match, but if all goes right, these dudes should be able to be on their national team. So, like we talked about already, we got guys from Spain, Netherlands, Germany, Brazil so far. But we'll get to Argentina at some point. We'll get to France at some... we'll get to all these different countries at some point. And if their overall potential is to be like a 90, bro, we got some of the young stars of the league, actually, that we're working with. So that's really the first episode. Real Salt Lake wins the crown. And there it goes, the end of another one of my videos. Thank you for watching. See you soon.